And welcome to a VSA Capital video blog, and delighted today to be live on site at Tungsten West and with the chairman Mark Thompson. Mark, great to see you and great to be live at what is clearly an incredible mine.
Well, it's nice to have you again on site.
Just quickly, I mean, what have we got here? It's huge, but just quickly explain what we've got and where it is.
So we are currently at the Hemerdon tungsten mine on the south side of Devon in the UK. This is the open pit, basically the main part of the mineralisation that we have here. And what we have is about a 30 or 40 metre wide granite dike which hosts the majority of our mineralisation. And then either side of that we have our host rock, which is a rock type called Killis, which is a Cornish word for anything which isn't granite. And that is also mineralised at about half the tenor of what we have in the granite. So the granite's about 0.2% tungsten, the Killis is about 0.1% tungsten, and then on top of that we have about a 0.03, 0.04 byproduct credit of tin.
Okay, we'll move on to the tin maybe later, but let's take the tungsten first. I mean, tungsten is a critical metal. About 80% of it is in China, so it's very important, isn't it, the West gets control of its own tungsten. And this, I believe, is about the fourth largest mine in the world.
So yeah, it's a relatively small market as metals go. It's about 100,000 tonne a year market, of which 80,000 tonnes a year is primary mine supply, 20,000 tonnes a year is scrap. But of that 80,000 tonnes, China mines 65,000 tonnes of it. So only 15,000 tonnes a year comes from outside China. Tungsten's a really crucial metal in everything that's going on right now. It has a number of really special properties. It has the highest melting point, it's the most dense, it's the hardest metal there is, and its main use is for making specialty steels, tungsten carbide. So it goes into machine tools, it goes into drill bits, which are absolutely crucial to industries like oil and gas, automotive, aerospace. You can't have any of those industries without tungsten. And as I say, strategically, 80% of the world's supply comes from China. So tungsten's about as strategic as you get in commodities.
And again, I mean, you can see obviously the huge pit here, and being open pit makes it a lot easier. Over there you can't see, but there's a huge processing plant. I mean, about 200 million is it has been spent?
Yeah, about 220 million pounds of sunk capital. The previous owners, Wolf Minerals, went bankrupt in 2018, and they went bankrupt for basically three reasons. The first reason is they built a processing plant that didn't operate very much. It was only operating about 50% of the time due to some of the design issues and choices of equipment. The processing plant had the wrong design. It was only in the 3 years it operated recovered about 33% of the tungsten that came out of the pit. And then because they had promised as part of prepays and offtake agreements guaranteed tonnages, guaranteed grades, which they were unable to meet, they had very severe penalties on their offtake contracts as well. So for those three reasons, Wolf basically went bankrupt, but we as the new owners, we're fixing all of that. So we're completely rebuilding the first third of the processing plant to have the right crushing circuit. We're making a number of adjustments to the concentrator and the refinery, so overall our recoveries will be closer to 60%, not 30%, and we're not hampered by their offtake agreement, so our revenue stream is 20-25% higher than theirs per tonne of tungsten that we produce as well. So, but the main change we're making here, which really radically transforms the economics of this project, is the inclusion of X-ray transmission ore sorting. So basically this is the perfect ore for X-ray transmission ore sorting. It is relatively low grade at 0.2%, but it's very, very nuggety. So we can effectively reject 70% of the gang rock, losing less than 10% of the tungsten through this wonderful technology. And it just makes this from being a nice mine, if run properly, into a first quartile cash cost tungsten mine.
I mean, and it's not all about tungsten, which obviously is key, but you've got tin, which obviously this area is well known for. You've got a lot of aggregates, which again are actually very valuable, and you can probably tell from the wind that we're on top of a hill here. Plymouth is over there, you can't see it, but you're in a perfect place for moving all this stuff around. So, I mean, these are all the additional upsides to the value of the mine, aren't they?
We're taking a holistic approach to what we've got here. The previous operators never sold aggregates. That's a core part of our business plan, both from an environmental perspective, sustainability perspective, and our role in the local community wider to be a source of high quality, relatively cheap aggregates into the local community is fantastic. It means that we're not storing waste on site, we're selling it as a product. The tin credit is important to us, and of course there's nothing more rampant price-wise right now than tin. Cash price has over doubled in the last 6 months, and it looks to me like it's got every prospect of doubling again in the next 6 months as well.
And again, I mean, standing here, you can see that there's the ability to actually put some wind farms up here, and you could actually potentially power this whole mine with your own green energy.
That's correct. So our power consumption requirement for the processing plant is about 6 megawatts, and we're working with a local company called Devon Energy, which is a not-for-profit wind turbine company. They're seeking to put 15 turbines up, and the vista behind us, we're looking to site 2 of those on our site, which will produce 10 megawatts of power, which will be sufficient power as the wind blows in my face. As you can well see, it's a great resource for us. It really reduces our power cost. We have a massive ambition on this site to be as eco-friendly as we can, the highest ESG credentials, and we would love to try and get ourselves carbon neutral by 2027, and that's of course subject to the right technology coming into mining fleet and being able to replace diesel either with electric or hydrogen.
And presumably from a local political point of view, this is a pretty popular thing. It's going to bring jobs to Devon. You've got Plymouth about to be a free port. I've actually just met your local MP before we filmed this, who was very pro it. I mean, you're ticking all the right boxes for the UK government, aren't you?
Yeah, look, when this place closed, there was 220 direct jobs here and probably 500 to 800 indirect jobs created by the jobs here. It was a massive impact on the local community. So that's been really recognised by the parish councils, district councils, county councils, local MPs, all of whom we work very closely with. And I can honestly say the support for this thing to come back into production is unanimous. We have not come across one individual who opposes restarting the mine.
So, I mean, just thinking it finally perhaps as an investment proposition, you know, a lot of people worry about mining, that they put money in and it never seems to give a return. But actually you've got a lot of, I mean, this isn't the only part of the mine. Again, you've got expansion capabilities, haven't you? You've got the tin, you've got the aggregates, you've got also a potential waste dump that you can transfer. You could also become a hub for other miners because you've got this big process plant across the whole of the southwest. There's a lot of reasons why you can build a lot of upside, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many upsides here, too numerous to go into. What we've produced so far is a bankable feasibility study, enough to get us to raise the debt to get back into production. A definitive feasibility study would be even better because we've got reprocessing of tailings, we've got southern extension, we've got additional revenues from aggregates selling into wider markets other than the local market. There's actually a very significant grade bump compared to the resource grade, which isn't in our financial model as well. So there's many upsides, not least of which the one that you just mentioned as well in terms of our excess processing capacity. We've got a 3.5 million tonne a year processing plant, which we're only going to be feeding 1.5 million tonnes to because of the X-ray transmission ore sorting. So we've got 2 million tonnes of spare capacity. So you look at all the projects, which I'm sure you're aware of down in Cornwall and Devon, there's a lot of exploration going on, and there's a lot of mines that can be brought on stream quicker and much cheaper if you truck the ore up here for processing. It means they don't have to build their own processing plant or their own waste dump, which probably knocks 3 to 5 years off the permitting process.
And we know that people have been, you know, investing into certainly Cornish mines through crowdfunding at quite high valuations. I mean, I think if you look here, you've got a mine that's clearly, you know, effectively in production, coming at a good valuation. It must look very attractive to investors in general.
Well, look, we will be valued on the metrics of our cash flow that we'll be generating 12 months from now. I don't want to comment about other people's valuations and projects, it's unfair to do so. But we think there's a very robust investment case for this mine. We think the financials totally justify the money we're about to spend on rebuilding it, and this is going to be kicking off cash flow for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, actually I can comment a bit about valuations, so I'm independent, but I know my geologist and my mining analyst has been down here and they're looking at it and they tell me that, Andrew, they can see at least 3-4 type upside quite rapidly from what you're doing. They're very impressed. So Mark, look, thanks for having this quick chat with me. It is pretty windy, so we better go and get into the shelter. But for anybody watching this, if they've got further questions, then please contact us at VSA Capital or come direct to Mark Thompson at Tungsten West.
Thank you.